We hear about HR policies and often associate that with really long, draconian, detailed policies that you find in large corporations. So what really does a small business need, and does a small business need any at all? Well, I would argue yes, they do. My name's Jenefer, I'm the founder of Silk Helix, and we help small businesses with all things HR, people management, and writing employment policies and employee handbooks is absolute bread and butter for our business. So I'm going to tell you now what it is that you really need and why you need them. And it's about boundaries. And boundaries are really important because what they do is allow people in, they allow people to stay in, they allow people to know what's expected of them, and they allow people to decide that actually this isn't for me, this isn't the environment I want to be in, and to self-select themselves out. And that's really good for your team because that ensures that you've got the right people with the right values who are willing to work within your boundaries. Now, these don't need to be really draconian, detailed, lengthy boundaries. We're not talking multiple page policies. And for me, when I'm writing policies for a small business, it's very rare they go over an A4 page. Many are not even that long. They just don't need to be. They need to just set out what's expected, what we'll give employees as an employer, what the requirements are in terms of any procedure, and what happens if you breach these. It's as straightforward and as simple as that. So what policies do you absolutely have to have from a legal point of view? There's not a huge number of these, but they are some key ones. So a disciplinary policy and a grievance procedure, absolutely. You must tell people what policy you're going to be following in the event of a disciplinary situation. Again, don't have to be in long, detailed, we're going to do this on this day and things like that. And I think for a small business, you definitely shouldn't be going into that much detail, but you do need to have those there. You also have to have a holiday policy, and this is really important for your employees as well. I think this is a really, really good one to have and one that people should be familiar with. And this should set out what the entitlement to holiday is, whether or not bank holidays are included or whether they're working days, so people are really clear on that. What the rules are around requesting holiday, whether holiday requests can be turned down, whether there's rules around how many people can take holiday at any one time, whether there are periods where holiday can't be taken or periods actually where holiday should be taken or has to be taken because of close down, for example. So a holiday policy is really about telling people what their entitlements are and how they make use of those entitlements. That one is absolutely crucial. People value their holiday. It should be in there. It should be really clear. And you can use tools like Breathe HR, for example, to help you manage holiday. People can put their requests in. You can accept or decline those requests. They can monitor how much holiday they've got, how much they've got left, see the calendars that other people have taken so that they can work out whether or not their request is likely to be approved based on how many others are on holiday. Really useful tools to help you manage holiday and help others as well to be able to manage their time, because holiday is important to people. The next one that you need to have there is a sickness absence policy. And again, this is about telling people what their entitlements are, whether you're going to pay any company sick pay or just statutory sick pay, and also what the requirements are of them. So who do they call? When do they call by? How often do they call? These sorts of things that need to be in there. When do they need to produce a statement of fitness for work? So when do they need to make sure they go and see a doctor? All of these things just allow people to know what's expected of them and what they need to be doing. And then you also need to tell people what their other leave entitlements are and how, again, they go about requesting these or putting in notifications of these. And these would include things like your statutory leaves, like maternity, paternity, adoption, shared parental leave, ordinary parental leave, public duties, parental bereavement leave. You may also have compassionate leave in there or medical appointments, which you may well deal with as a company. And if there's any other leave that you offer, you need to be able to detail that to people again, what their entitlements are and how they go about requesting that leave. It's not a policy, but it is worth mentioning here, the statement of particulars of employment, which have to be issued by the end of day one. I've got other videos detailing this. Subscribe as well if you want to keep up with my other videos, get more details on all of these things. Fundamentally, there is a list of information that has to be provided by the end of day one in the statement of particulars of employment. You may well be calling this a contract to employment, and in other videos I talk about the difference and the benefits to you as a company of having a more detailed contract to employment than just a statement of particulars. But from a legal point of view, the statement of particulars is what you need to provide. This is the information that you need to provide people. And then other policies that you may also need as a company are really around your business. So there's some that I would recommend to everybody. Social media policy, for example, I would recommend to every business now. And that is going to vary depending on whether your employees are more involved in your social media or less so, whether you've got internal social media channels. These are all going to impact what you actually include in a social media policy. And again, I've got more videos on this and more details around how you manage social media, so go and check those out. But social media policy, definitely 100% I would be recommending that to every single business. The same with an IT policy, talking about things like security, going into your data security, but also whether or not IT equipment can be used for personal use, making sure that you're really clear about what the internet should or shouldn't be used for, and how that fits in with things like equality and diversity policy if you've got those. And again, not a legal requirement, but I would be recommending that you've got policies around that to say that at the bare minimum as a company, you are complying with the law and that you expect your employees to do the same, because it means you can then discipline if people breach those policies. And you've also made it really clear to them what the expectations are up front. So there should be no real need for them to breach those policies because they know what's expected, they know what they should be doing. And as adults, they're choosing then what they're going to do, whether they're going to comply with those policies or not. You've then got other policies which really are going to depend on your business. So a dress code, for example, is going to depend on whether that's necessary for your business. Now, if you're customer facing, if you're in a situation where you've got a uniform, for example, you may want a fairly strict dress code, which makes it really clear what's expected, how people present the brand in what they're wearing, and how that extends, say, to makeup, for example. There will be other situations where that really isn't necessarily or relevant, and we've seen a lot of challenges to dress code policies around particularly sex discrimination in recent years, but also religious discrimination, so you've got to be aware about that. And also thinking about if you're office-based, if people are not meeting with customers or suppliers, whether you really do need a dress code or whether you need something that's very short, very minimal. It's really going to depend on that one. So some organisations have them, some don't. Some are very, very short, some are a little bit longer, but that really is going to come down to your business and your brand. So you've got all these policies. What do you do with them? Writing policies and leaving them in a dusty filing cabinet is of no use to anybody. They may as well not exist if you're not sharing them, if you're not making these living, breathing documents that people are aware of. I like an employee handbook because it puts everything together in one place and ensures that people can't say, oh, I didn't know that existed, because it's very, very clear. The employee handbook has everything in. Even if you've not read it from cover to cover, you should have at least seen the contents page to know it's there and know you can refer to it. A more modern approach to that might be a company wiki, which actually goes further than saying we've got the employee handbook all in one place, to everything you need to know about the company, how we operate, what we do is included in our company wiki. We use Confluence as a company for that. I've got no links with Confluence other than using their products, but we use that and it works really, really well for us. We really love it. Or you could use something like Breathe HR. If you're using that for your HR systems, you could have your employee handbook accessible on there, which again puts it all in one place and is something a lot of our clients choose to do, to use Breathe HR for that. So that's a really great one to do. Equally, if you've got people who aren't desk-based and are out on the road in vans or on a shop floor, a book might still be the most appropriate way to do it. And printing off that book, printing's relatively cheap these days to get things printed as individual copies for people or a binder somewhere. The only thing I would say is don't have it in a binder sitting behind the manager's desk where people have got to ask to access it. That's not really accessible or going to be widely used. We need to make sure that we've got something that people can access as and when they need it. So something that they can access from home is absolutely ideal, because if you're looking at booking holidays, for example, you're probably at home thinking about this, trying to work out, when can I do this? And that's where something like Breathe HR is really, really useful, because they can log in outside of work, look at the holiday policy, request their holiday, see what other people are off at the same time, do it all in one go, all perhaps at the weekend while they're trying to sort their holiday out. So just to wrap up there, the policies that you need to have, you've got your legal policies, which I've included in there, your statement of particulars of employment. You've also got the other policies that are recommended because they help your business, they put boundaries in place, they ensure people know what their entitlements are, but also what their requirements are and their code of conduct, their behaviour. And crucially, we need to make sure that these documents are accessible, they're living, breathing documents, that people know where they are, they're referring to them on a regular basis, and that these are actually being made use of. Thank you for watching. Find out more with our videos on screen now. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video.